Sandy Trefker here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and to another design that I've created for Country Craft Creations. This is a stacked pages mini album that I created out of Authentique's Manly paper collection. It's a fun album for the man in your life, and I have a tutorial, so stay tuned. Create this stacked pages album using Authentique's Manly paper collection. We're going to need our chipboard. So I have two here. I'm not sure if that's what I will need. I will cut it and then let you know how many I actually used. You're going to need a sheet of the stickers. You're also going to use the 12 by 12 papers. Now I have 3 of each. I am not going to be using all of that for this project, so I'll have plenty for another project. I will pull the pages that I use and cut it down and let you know how many I used of each. And then I'm also going to probably use, I ordered this separately, it didn't come in my design team kit, but I ordered this with my colors in this Cafe au lait brown, because I think that would go great for matting. The actual pages and the wrapping of the chipboard covers are going to be done with the patterned paper, so we're not using any actual cardstock in this project. So let me select my pages that I want to use. Oh, also I'm going to be using for embellishments this Holtz Junkdrawer pack of called Baseboards, chipboard pieces. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I think that'll work great with that. And then also, of course, I'll have some seam binding ribbon here. The beige, the navy, and the, looks like a burgundy color. So we've got that for the project. I'll may use all of those or just 1 or 2 of them. So I'll go ahead and turn off the camera and pick out my papers and cut them to size, and then I will post that in the description below, the measurements that you need, and then I'll also share with you on the video. I have the pattern papers cut for my album. First of all, I want to share that you do need some graphic 45 tags. Now these are the craft ones in the regular size, and this is what I'm going to be using in this Manly album. I'm going to use 2 for the closures, and I'll use 2 for inside the book. I think you get 6 in a package. The ones that I used on my prototype album are a different size. They're wider. I can't remember what size they're called. These will work. This is what I have. I know you can still get the regular size. These, I'm not sure. I had these in my stash, so that's not a big issue. You just want the regular size, so that, or the shorter ones for your closure. So we'll set that aside. We don't need that right now. I'll go over the cover part first. So from your medium weight chipboard, you will need 1 sheet of 12 by 12 medium weight chipboard, and you're going to cut 2 5.5 wide by 9 tall for your cover, and 1 2 inches wide by 9 tall for the spine. The papers to wrap this, you're going to need 2 that are 7.5 wide, yes, by 11 tall to wrap, and you need 1 that is 4 wide by 11 tall to wrap. This is the Manly one. You will need from the collection 1 sheet each of Manly 1 through Manly 6, except for Manly 1 you do need the 2 extra. So you're going to use 3 sheets of Manly 1, which is plaid, or whatever paper pattern you want to use. You might want to do it a little bit different than mine. So whatever pattern you choose for your cover, you need 2 sheets for the cover part, and then you will also need 1 sheet for your pages. So I hope that makes sense. Also, you're going to keep all your scraps once you cut it. Just put them in a bag. This is what we're going to be using to make our pockets and flaps and things. So we should not have to use any extra paper for that. And I do want you to have 2 sheets of my colors cardstock in the 12 by 12 in the Cafe au lait brown color. Or if you want more of a navy brown or burgundy, that would be pretty also. So here are the page papers that are cut. I'm going to go over these with you. Don't necessarily have them in order of the pattern design, so I'm using 1 each 12 by 12 sheet of the collection through Manly 1 through Manly 6. We're going to set aside Manly 7, which is cut aparts, and Manly 8, the cut aparts collage. You need one of each of those for decorating, and then we'll use one sheet of the stickers, which is called details. So for page 1, let me get my notes right quick. I'll go give you the measurements now, and then we'll go over that as we're scoring as well. But for page 1, we need a 12-inch wide by 8.5 tall. Pay attention to your directions so that your patterns are going to go the correct way. So I want the brick going like this. So it's 12 inches wide by 8.5 tall. Page 2 is 10 3/4 wide. There's not an issue with the direction on this, by 5.5 tall. Page 3, 11 3/4 wide. Again, not any issue with the direction, by 6 3/4 tall. So if you notice, these are all different sizes or heights. Page 4 is 11.5 wide by 8 tall. This one does have directional, but you want to make sure you're getting it the right way. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correct? 1, 2, 4. So page 5 is 11 inches wide by 6 1/4 tall. Some of these are repeats of the patterns, so this is coming from Manly 1. 11 3/4 by 5.5. Then we have an 8-inch. Double check these. I think I got them out of order. Eight-inch by 4, and then the very last page is a 9.5 by 5. So we have all those cut. Like I said, they'll be down in the descriptions where you can just cut them all out and then have them ready for scoring. So let's go ahead and set our pages aside, and we'll make our album cover first. To create the album cover, again, you'll need the 2 pieces of chipboard that are cut to 5.5 wide by 9 tall, and the one for the spine that is 2 inches by 9. And you're going to need your pattern paper. I've got this one turned the wrong way. That you need 2 pieces that are 7.5 wide by 11, which is what I have on my score board right now. So you need 2 of those, and you need 1 piece for the spine that's 4 inches wide by 11 inches tall. I am using the Manly 1, which is this plaid. So you need 2 sheets to wrap the cover with this. Now I am using the individually wrapped method of each piece that was created by Tamara of Country Craft Creations. And since I'm on the design team, I often use this. Now if you prefer the traditional where everything goes together and is all wrapped as one long piece of cardstock, you're certainly welcome to do that. It should work. The measurements of the pages should work with that. But double check before you actually put them in to make sure, or make your pages first and then check to see if this size for the cover will work. You might need to adjust it just a little bit. So we have here on the scoreboard, I have 2 pieces of 1-inch chipboard as templates, and I have 1 piece of my pattern paper, again that's 5.5 wide by 9 inches tall. And so we're going to glue this 1 piece down, and this will give us the 1-inch border. And I am going to go ahead and use art glitter glue to attach mine. Score tape sheets work great. You can pick those up at the online store at countrycraftcreations.com, as well as your art glitter glue. I'll lay this down right here and butt this up to the side and up at the top. Brush it with my hands. Grab my cloth that I used to wipe excess glue. Move these out of the way quick. I'll go ahead and turn them over and grab my scraper to really burnish this in. Make sure that it's all the air bubbles are out. You don't want any bubbling on your paper, since we are wrapping with the pattern paper versus using cardstock and then adding pattern paper. So just going to have this one layer here. So let's make sure that it's burnished really good. And we're going to set this aside and let it dry. And I'll go ahead and do the other one now. Same way. I am working on this on the evening of July the 4th. We live out in the country, so fireworks are allowed. I'm not sure, you may be able to hear them in the background every now and then. It's not quite dark yet, so when they get really, really heavy, I will probably stop the videoing and wait to work on it tomorrow. So we're going to do the spine piece the same way. And we don't need the spacers, so we'll put these out of the way now. Okay, so let's take the first one piece of the cover, and I'm going to just stand it up and get a good bend. Now we are wrapping with the pattern paper. Normally you would use cardstock, then add your pattern paper onto that, like matting, but I wanted this to have a little different look, so I am actually wrapping with the pattern paper. So you want to get it bent, you know, used to bending good. I will say that using artisan cardstock is a really good choice because it's as strong as, I think, as cardstock. So you should not have any cracking problems. If I do, I will just use a little glue, art glitter glue, maybe some ink to kind of camouflage it. But normally, like with my prototype album, I had no problem whatsoever, no cracking at all. So artisan cardstock is, pattern cardstock is excellent for that. So I've got this done. Now, you need to miter the corners. And in Tamara's method, she cuts out the corners. You can do that, or you can just cut at an angle. And you will want, if you do the angle cut, use a tool, which I have, but right now I'm going to show you how, in case you don't have a tool. From the tip, the point of this chipboard, you're going to want to stay away about 1/8 of an inch. Okay? You're going to do that on all 4 corners. So I'm just eyeballing. If you want to use a ruler or a template, you could do that. You don't need these anymore. Just go ahead and throw these away. Now let's check it. We're going to fold this in. We're going to do the long side first. So I'm going to grab my glue bottle with the Twine tip on it. I don't want glue oozing everywhere. And I'm going to put a line of glue right along the chipboard onto the paper, and then go ahead and you can use score tape for this also. It's just a preference of what you like to use. And you're going to burnish that down. The bone folder for this. Get a good burnish. Glue's going to come out the top here. That's okay. And we'll go ahead and do the other long side. Same thing. Put your glue along the edge here. Get a good line, and then your glue. Fold that over and burnish it down. Okay, so here you're going to see an extension. Bring it up. An extension of the paper sticking beyond the chipboard. So right here. And you're going to want to take your bone folder and you're going to pull and fold that under. Just kind of round it in. So that when you fold it up, you're going to have a really nice corner here. So we do the glue the same way here. It's starting to get a little dark. Here are a few more fireworks now and then. When you're doing videos, tutorial videos, it's very hard to keep noises, background noises out. Have the air conditioner hum or the computer hum. I can get those out with my editing software. But sometimes noises like motorcycles or loud cars and fireworks or a lawnmower or chainsaw where they're cutting down trees. There's just a lot of noise in the neighborhood. Even though we live on over 4 acres, you still hear a lot of noise. We have some close neighbors, so can't avoid it. So again, pull this in on both sides. And the glue. And we have a really nice wrapped cover piece with the corners nicely mitered. So I'm ready to set that aside. I'm going to go ahead and do the other one off camera, and then I will show you the spine and how to put these together. And now for the spine piece, we're going to fold the top here and the bottom the same way. So go ahead and fold these and burnish. Get a good crease. Bottom one here as well, same way. So you see how I make sure I burnish up against the chipboard so that it kind of gets a crease there. And then I'm going to take my glue right along the top of the chipboard piece, and then we add glue for the rest. Fold it over and burnish. The other side as well. Okay, next we're going to trim at an angle, miter at an angle. Now I fold this so I can see where the chipboard is. Put my scissors right there and just clip off that. This side you can see it easier. Here, up against the chipboard and at an angle. Other side. Okay, then we're going to fold it and take a look and see, make sure we don't need to trim off any more there. And next we're going to burnish this. So I'm laying it, the finished side up along the edge of the chipboard. I'm just going to burnish that right there to get a good crease. Don't use a sharp bone folder, you don't want to poke through, but you do want to burnish this. And again, the artisan cardstock or pattern paper cardstock works really well for wrapping. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to go ahead and get it on this side as well. Back and forth. Just kind of making the fibers in the paper get used to bending. Turn it over again. And one more time. Okay. We're starting to get a lot of fireworks on. When I put these together, I'm going to go ahead and stop for the evening and work on this tomorrow. Okay, so now we're ready to put our covers on. These are going to go on like this. Butt it up against. They're nice and flat. So I'm going to put glue right here along the edge, bottom. I'm going to stay away a little bit from the fold so that glue isn't oozing out too terribly much. Now we're going to butt this up. You want to put the edge of the cover right against the edge of the chipboard of the spine. So line those up really good and burnish it. Okay. Get over, give it a burnish. Other one. Same thing. Along the edges. Stay away from the valley there. Other piece. Make sure you're butting it up really good, nice and flat. And turn it. Now I'm going to let this dry before I bend it. Okay, so the cover has dried overnight. I normally don't have to let it dry that long, but I stopped because of the 4th of July fireworks. So everything folds up nice and neat the way this is put together. So we're ready to finish up on the inside of our cover, and then we'll go on to our pages. So I did have to add another sheet of paper to our list. You're going to need 2 of whatever you want to use. Need to add an extra for whatever you want to use for the inside of your cover. So I added Manly 2. So I need, for my pages in the inside of my cover, I need 2 of Manly 2. I need 3 of Manly 1. And then so far I've just needed 1 of each of the other pages that come in the collection. So this one was cut from scraps, and you can either put it to match like this, but I want to be able to see the separation for the pages. So I'm going to use this one. I cut one. This is out of scrap, so I'm going to put it down this way. It is 5. Actually, this one is, because it was a scrap, 4.5 by, I'm going to go right there, and then I cut 2 that are 5 by 8.5. Check that. We go 8.5 by 5. So these are going to match up here. Okay, so we're ready to glue these down. It's going to go over the spine section area. Just make sure it doesn't bubble. Instead of using glue, I am going to use score tape. If you have the score tape sheets, this is a good time to use that. Or if you have wider score tape, which I have, I'm going to use this over here and completely cover it solid. Okay, so I'm just, and without going over the edge, the best that you can, right here. Get it off here. I'm going to put some of each. And I like to go up and down. I don't think it really matters that much, but that's just the preference that I like. Because you do want to make sure it is solid all the way across. Solid score tape. And again, you can get this score tape at countrycraftcreations.com. You can also order the solid sheets, which makes this go a little bit faster. But I do have this 1 inch, so I do want to go ahead and use it. It's just a little bit of time, but not too bad. And now we need a wider in there, so I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch. I think that'll work. And fill this last part in right here. Okay, then burnish that down. I have a little bit of bubble in my paper, but not too bad. It will burnish down. You're going to make sure that it sticks on good. And then we're going to go ahead and peel this off. Okay, get the tape still on there. Put the backings away. Now I have a little bit of edge right here where I kind of cut it short. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of glue. And move it over. Okay, let's grab our cover. Make sure we're putting our shoes on. These are the shoes in the paper. And we're going to want to center this over the fold. And about a 1/4 inch top and bottom. I am just eyeballing it. You can measure, but you do want to make sure you've got it straight. Okay, so burnish this down. And again, the reason I use score tape solid is to make sure there's no bubbling. Glue, if you lift it too soon or didn't have a good solid coverage with it where you're folding, can do a bubble. So I'll lift this up and burnish in. Just gently burnish it back and forth with the rounded part of your bone folder. And here. And go ahead and gently fold. And there you have the cover with this part in here in the spine. This is where our pages are going to go in the center here. So we've got that. Now we're ready to put the front and back pieces on. And again, these are 5 inch by the 8.5 tall. So pay attention to the directions as you did on this one as well. So these we can do with glue. And we're going to put it in about a 1/4 inch from the side and then line it up with this piece here on the side. So I'm going to put glue. Now you'll notice I am not inking my papers for this project. Inking is optional. You certainly can do that if you want, if you prefer to ink. Sometimes I do, a lot of times I don't. It just depends on if that white color bothers you, but this color paper has a not very white core, or it doesn't show up very much, so it doesn't bother me. So I'm okay with not inking. And I really don't ink when I'm using white cardstock in a project, because I just get ink everywhere. Now you'll notice this does not go over the fold, so you can see a little bit of this paper here in the center. So I'm just going to finish this all down. You want it nice and flat and stuck down good. And now the other side. This is really great paper line collection for some masculine projects that we often don't have paper for. So this is going to make some great cards and tags, folios, whatever you're needing to make for the man in your life. You want something that's not all pink and frou-frou, well, this is the collection for you. So you can line up here about a 1/4 inch. Looks good. And we'll bunch it down right here. Okay, so there's our cover. We will add the closure piece after we've done the pages. So this is going to be set aside now. Get a clip on it. I like to clip it a little bit to hold it to kind of give it some memory there. So next we're going to do the pages. Okay, so I've got my papers cut for the pages. I'm going to give you the measurements and the number, or the name of the paper that I used from the Manly collection. The dimensions, this will also be down below in the description, so be sure to click on show more in case you forget and you don't see that down there. The first one we're going to do, set these aside here, is from Manly 4, and I cut 8.5 tall by 12 wide. The second piece that you need is 5.5 tall by 10 3/4 wide. If it has a directional pattern, that's going to make an issue, but this one is fine. The other one did have a direction, so you need to pay attention. This is from Manly 5. That's the name of the each pattern paper. The next one does not have directional necessarily, so it is 11 3/4 wide by 6 3/4 tall, cut from Manly 3. Then we have 8 inches tall, so you pay attention to your directions, by 11.5 wide, cut from Manly 2. This one is 6 1/4 tall, no direction, by 11 wide, cut from Manly 5. So some of these are repeat, so that we're cutting them from the scraps or the leftovers of the other cuts. This one is 5.5 tall. Does have the direction, so you want to pay attention on that. See how the shoes are running. 5.5 tall by 11 3/4 wide, and that is from Manly 1. Now this one again, 4 inches tall by 8 inches wide, and this is cut from the scrap of Manly 3. And then I have 5 inches tall, and this is directional, so you want to pay attention to your pattern, either side. 5 inches tall by 9.5 wide, and this is Manly 6. So those are going to be our pages, and now we're getting ready to score. So let's flip them back, and we're going to take this first one. So place the 12-inch in at the top of your scoreboard. And we're going to score this one at 5 1/4. And pick it up completely, turn it around so the 12 is still at the top, and come and score at 5 1/4 again. Now that's going to give you, when you fold it, about an 1.5 inch space between these fold lines. And this is how we're going to start our pages that we're going to be stacked. So this one goes down first, and then we'll do the other. So I'm just going to lay this aside. Some room here. Okay. Now the next piece we're going to grab, which is your 10 3/4 by 5 1/2. We're going to put the 10 3/4 in at the top. Same score. 5 1/4. Turn, and 5 1/4 again. Make sure I did this right. 5 1/4, turn, and 5 1/4 again. So this is giving me a skinnier. I'm sure this is correct. So this gives me a 1/4 inch. So these may be out of order, so that when I fold, it's going to look like that. So I'm going to lay that aside. We'll get them in order as we need them. This is our 6 3/4 by 11 3/4. 11 3/4 at the top. Again, score at 5 1/4. Pick it up, turn it, score at 5 1/4. Now this gives us the spacing for our stacked hinge of 1 1/4 inches. Put that aside. Next piece is 11 1/2 by 8. So we'll score at the 11 1/2 inch side at 5 1/4. Turn, and 5 1/4 again. And when we fold it, you're going to see that our space is getting a little bit narrow here in the middle. So put that one aside. The next piece measures 11 inches by 6 1/4. So we're going to score the 11 inch side at 5 1/4. Turn, and 5 1/4. That one up. And we have the narrow piece. Then we have 11 3/4 by 5 1/2. We're going to score the 11 3/4 at 5 1/4. Turn, score at 5 1/4. A little bit tighter here. Okay, now then, we're going to change up our scoring just a little bit. We have one that is 8 inches by 4, and we're going to score the 8 inch side at, and this one's different, 3 3/4. Turn, and 3 3/4. Last one. This one measures 5 inches by 9 1/2. So we're going to score the 9 1/2 at 4 3/4. This one's a little different. We're just going to skip over 1/4 of an inch and score at 5. There we go. Okay, and this one you'll notice is just a little slightly off, and that's okay because they're not going to be together in the book. So we just wanted to get that 1/4 inch in there. And so there's all our pages. So now we're ready to put them together. So the next thing you want to do after you've scored them is to fold and really burnish so you can see your fold lines. So this piece here is going to be our first one. So this is the one that will have, get my ruler here so we can line these up correctly. This will be the one that will have the widest space, which ends up being inch and a half. So that is your first one. Your second one is going to be shorter in height. Once you fold this up, you're going to see that the space on it should be about 1 1/4. So it's a 1/4 inch smaller, so it's going to go here in the center between the two lines there. So I'm just showing you how to line them up first, and then we're going to take it all and glue it. So the next one, go ahead and burnish your lines. The next one will have the 1 1/4 also, and it will just stack right in on this one. So that gives us a short one here in with this one. Okay. So you can add extra pages if you want to and make them the same spacing. This one. Next should be a longer, taller page, and it will have about 1 inch here, and it's going to go in like this. And make sure you pay attention once you start gluing over your direction. You don't want them upside down. And this one's going to drop down to a 1/2 inch space. So it has a 1/2 inch. It's a little bit taller. Then we're going to have a short one that also has a 1/2 inch. It just sits right in here on that. Open it up. And then we will have one that has a 1/4 inch. This is the one that's a little bit off. If you don't like that, we can certainly trim that down. See how that has that? But once you put it in the book, you're not going to see that. So that's up to you. So this one has a 1/4 inch space. And then we have the last one that has a 1/4 inch space. And I'm actually going to reverse this one. I want the splotches to the inside, or the granite look, stone look. So it's like this. Or you could do it this way. It doesn't really matter. Like that. Okay. So that's how they're laid out. So we're going to keep them in order. I'm going to flip this open to this one right here in the center. Now I am going to use glue to attach each page in, and we're going to stack these pages. That's why I call it a stacked page album. So this is the first one. We have it open here. You see your 2 score lines like that. See that in there? It's hard to see with this pattern. So I'm going to take my ruler, and I've already measured this. I know this one is 1.5 inches. The next one that's going to go in is 1.25 inches. So I wanted 1/8 of an inch from each line here. And I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to place this 1/8 of an inch on my fold line. It's kind of hard to see. But I want that. I'm going to get it down here on the bottom where I can see good and line it up. So that's good. So this is going to go in right in here. So that'll give me 1/8 of an inch on the other side. I'm going to take my glue, and on the back side of this section here, we're going to put our glue. Okay. Now you decide where you want it here. Do you want it centered or up at the top, at the bottom? It really doesn't matter because this is a smaller one. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. So I'm just going to kind of try to center mine the best I can. And that looks about right. Press this down in here, move the ruler out of the way, go ahead and wipe up this glue where I moved it. We want to burnish that. Get the excess glue pushed out. Okay, so we have our first page in the center, actually our second set, like that. So open it back up, grab your next one. Now this one measures 1.25 inches also, so it's the same as this one. It's just longer. So I'm going to get my glue on here. I'm going to kind of flatten it down like this. I'm going to raise this one up so I can see, because they're going to fit the same together. And I'm going to center this with the same width, top and bottom, that I want. So make sure that it's going to fold both ways. And if you have to re-score, then that's okay. You just want to be able to, because they're really close in size, just want to be able to make sure that both directions it folds flat. So now we have this one in here in addition to this other one out here. So see how they all fold together? So let this one drop. Grab this one. This should be smaller again this time. So we have 1 inch going into 1.25 inches. So again, we're going to have that 1/8 of an inch space so that I can see that. If you need to take a pencil and mark that a little bit, I don't think it's going to show it off. So I'm going to put that on there so I can kind of see. And I'm going to put an 1/8 inch line on there, and if it's straight, it should have no problem. So again, we put the glue. Line this one edge up, and this one's a little longer again, about 1/4 inch from the top edge and the bottom edge right here. Let's burnish that in. The stripe one's going to be really hard to see. That one there. We'll grab this next one. So we're stepping down. We have the inch here, so we're stepping down to 1/2 inch on this one. So that means from 1 inch to 1/2 inch, we have 1/4 inch on each side. So I'm going to try to get that right there. I can see my 1/4 inch. Line it straight on the bottom here. It's going to be fine right there. So grab this one, and put my glue on. To center this one the best I can. I'm just kind of keeping them centered. I'm looking at the top and the bottom and slide it a little bit if I need to before it grabs. making sure everything is folding in correctly. See here, there's your 1/4 inch on each side. And this one is another 1/2 inch one, so it's going to match exactly this one. So this one I do flatten down, put the glue just on that 1/2 inch section. Bring this one up, line it in, centering it, eyeballing it. Right there. Check this side, and I've got to check this side. So that one fits in good. So I'm just going to fold it here. All right. Okay, open this up. We've got 2 more to go. Here we have the 1/4 inch. So we're going stepping down from a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch. So that's the 1/8 of an inch again. And see my score line. Line it up nice and straight. Make sure you look at your directions. You don't want it upside down. I almost put it upside down. And this one is a little bigger, so I am eyeballing it. Should be about right. Put it down and burnish. The other way. Okay, and our last one is also a 1/4 inch. So again, we can just flatten that. Let's look at our directions so we don't have a problem there. And this one here has a little cracking here, so just if it bothers you, you can ink it. I think it's going to be okay for me because it'll be glued down. It's not actually cracking, it's just some of the white is showing. It's not tearing or anything. So get this glue on it. Raise this one up and attach it in. It's a little bit taller. Yep. Refold this a little bit to make sure they fit in okay. So if you need to, just refold it to fit. Make sure you don't have any problems both directions here. Okay. So now everything should fold up, and our pages are together, just like that. We are going to attempt to make our pockets and extra flaps out of scraps of paper that we have left over from cutting the pages. If I end up needing to use another full sheet, I will let you know. The first pocket I'm going to do is for this. This is actually your page 1 after it goes in the book. This is not part of the cover. This is actually your first page. So I want an angle pocket. So I cut from scraps one that is 3.5 by 8.5, which is the length of the page. But I want an angle cut here on this side. So I'm going to, from the left side, measure 3.25 inches. Move this so you can see. Take my ruler and my pencil. So 3 1/4. Just going to put a mark right here. I can see pretty good. And I'm going to put this in my trimmer. I can see it. And I'm going to angle this so that the dot is there and my cut is going to stop at the tip. You can see right here, tip of this corner here. So I've got the dot lined up right there on the cut. This is the tip of my corner, and I'm just going to slice that off. All the pockets in this project are going to be flat pockets. We're not going to have any hinges on the back. So grab your set of pages, flatten this down so it's easier to work with, and we're going to glue this by attaching glue to this long side and then this bottom edge. We're going to leave this all open here on this side so that we can insert some larger tags and things. So flip it over, put your glue from the tip all the way down, just a thin line, seal this off. That. And we're going to flatten this down and line it up right along the cut edge of the page. Look at it, see that everything's nice and flat. If you wanted to ink this edge, you could. So there is your first pocket on this page. So let's open this up and we'll add something here on the inside. Two regular pockets. And out of your scraps, you're going to cut two that are 3 1/4 tall by 8 1/2 wide. Check that. Make sure I'm giving you the right measurements. That's what I wrote down, 8 1/2. So I have two from scraps. Now this is going to be going the other direction, and that's fine. This one's going to go here, and this other one's going to go somewhere else over here in the different page. But I like to put a notch on the edge of the pocket. So I want to show you real quick in my prototype book. Let me find it real quick. This one I did the bigger notch, and then over here I decided to do a smaller notch. See that right there? You can do it this way. You can do the big notch and then a small notch. I'm going to do 2 small notches, I think, in this album. But I'm going to show you how to do both of them with your envelope punch board. Move the book out of the way. So I'm not going to do it on that. I have a scrap here cut, not a scrap, but a good size piece, so I can do both sides. Cut 8 1/2. I mean, yeah, that's correct. Did I say 8 1/2 or 8 1/4? 8 1/2. So the halfway mark of the 8 1/2 piece, this is a flat pocket, is 4 1/4. So that would make our half. So to do the little single notch, I'm going to put this left edge at 4 1/4 to get it right in the center, and I'm just going to punch. And that gives me this nice, neat little notch. Now, if you want the bigger notch, you're going to put this at 4 1/4. But we're going to back it up. We're going to put it at 4. Punch. We're going to flip it. Put it at 4 again. And punch. I think that's going to do it right. Nope. And then you're going to cut this center piece out. So that gives a little bit wider than just the single. Now, if you want it even wider, let me cut this down so I can show you like what I did in my first one. So we backed it up to 4. Let's do 4 1/4, 3 3/4. That gives us a 1/4 inch, I think. More. Let's try the 3 1/2. Punch 3 1/2. Turn it. Punch again at 3 1/2. Now this will do it better. Then you got this part here, and this is what you're going to cut out with your scissors or your craft knife. You want to cut out that medium punch, and that will give you a wider. And you can adjust that as however you want it. I'm going to be doing this one on these pockets, 2 regular pockets for this album. Okay. So I want this one here on this page right here. So I want my punch to be on this side. And I said 4 1/4. It's just one punch. And there it is like that. On this one, I want it to be out here. This is where it's going to go in the book. So I want the punch here on the bottom of it, 4 1/4. On the bottom of the print. So it's going to be like that in the book. Okay, so let's put these in. Let's set this aside. Grab your page. So this one's going here. And again, it's just a flat pocket. It's going to fit right in here. Put glue on the 2 short ends and 1 long end. Make sure you do it on the back side that you want down. And we're going to line it up. Just wind it down on the bottom. If you have a little bit that goes overhang, we can just trim that off with our scissors because there might be a little variance from when you cut these out, and it's okay. Just a little bit here on this side. So you see how it's kind of sticking out just a little bit. I'm just going to take my scissor and just cut out that overhang. Just cut it right off. I'm trying to be extra careful. There we go. So now I've got my pocket here. So this one's going to go here. There's a different pattern in my other book, you know, and if you want the stripe, you could certainly do that. You use whatever scraps you have to put your book together. So yours may look a little different than mine. You know, you may like a certain paper better than the one I'm using, and that's fine. Just make it your own. So line this up. And again, we may have a little variation on the edge here, and that's okay. We're just going to trim this off a little bit. And I like to use the big long bladed scissors because you can just cut it really, really straight with those. So there's that. And then if you want to ink it up some, you can. Like I said, I have not been inking. And I do have a new ink tool. I normally used to use my pad, but I am trying this out. This looks really cool. That I ordered the other day. I think it's new. Not all stores carry it, and that's fine, but I just don't like a lot of different ink pads, and this you can clean off. There's a little cloth that I can clean it on. So this is kind of cool. And here we go. So I don't like a lot of ink, so this is giving me the coverage that I really like. And then when I'm done, I will just clean it off and have it ready for a different color. Okay, so there's that pocket. So let's get back to the other sections and see what we need to make. Okay, so I've looked through my scraps to continue making my flaps that I need for our book. And the direction of the scraps is not working, or the sizes of them. So I'm going to take another full sheet. And this is Manly 4. This is what I've chosen now. So I've added that on. So you will actually need 2 each of Manly 4. And that will be correct in the list down below. So don't be concerned about that. I am going to be sharing that. So I'm going to head and cut what I need for this next one. And then I'll share with you what I've done to make these flaps for this that we need for this page here. And I may have to add another extra sheet just to be able to have the right direction for what we need. Okay, I just noticed that in spite of telling you to pay attention to your directions of your patterns, that I put this one in upside down. This is correct. This is our front page. The directions for this pocket are here. This one is upside down, but this one is correct. So this is the correct direction. This one's correct. This is correct. I just put one in upside down, which ends up being, this is correct, this one right here. So this second page set I put in upside down. We're not going to fret about that. We're going to do something with this where we'll cover this up. You might as well see what happens when a mistake is made. There is no way that I can take this apart and flip this around, so I'm going to have to go with it that way. So we have the pocket here. We're going to open this flap back, and I'm going to add a flap right here. And for this flap, you want to cut one, and I did use the extra sheet, 4 3/8 by 5 1/2. And we're going to score, let's see here, I want this way. We're going to score the 4 3/8 side at a 1/2 inch for our hinge. Just like that. So you fold that up and burnish. Grab the page, push it upside down, and we're going to glue this right here on the side. Make sure it fits. Let's grab our glue. Then I will look and see what I think I can do with that. So garnish that in. So that adds us a flap right there. Now, this. And then I'm going to look this over and see what I need to do to fix this. Okay, to fix this upside down section, I hadn't used Manly 8 yet, which has the collage. So I really wanted to use that somewhere on a page, so this works out great. So I have cut, and I'm going to double check, I've cut 2 pieces that are 5 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 tall, and these are going to glue down right here. This one after you put your flap on, so the other one's going to go on the other side. Now you decide, do you want to completely cover it and just make it part of the page, or do you want to make it a pocket? So you would just glue it down. So let's do that, because that gives us that option if we want to add a tag in there or something, which the prototype book did not have, but this one will. So you're going to put glue, a line of glue on both sides and across the bottom. And then we're just going to make sure we stay within our fold line here. On the bottom, top edge. Push that in. And voila! You never know that that was upside down, so that's going to fold in right there. Works great. Okay. A little bit up there, but that's going to work out just fine. Let's burnish that in really good. Okay, so I like that. So that's that part there. So we're going to cut another flap for this back here on this other section where it is backwards. See, right here, we're going to add a flap here to mirror the other flaps. So I'm going to cut that one out, and then we'll go ahead and put that on, and then we'll add this piece. So I've cut the flap for the back side, this page. This is your page here, and then this is your pocket. So we have this here, the one that's upside down. So this was 4 3/8 wide by 5 1/2 tall, scored at a 1/2 inch for the right side, and we're just going to glue this on. So see, right, that fold right on that cut edge. Make sure it's nice and straight, and burnish it. Open that up. And then now this piece here should fit. This one is cut again. This one needed to be cut, trimmed down just a little bit. So it was cut at 5 1/4 wide by 5 1/2 tall. I'm just going to trim a smidge, like a thin line of it off. 1/16 of an inch. Just to fit in there a little better. That should work. So we're going to make a pocket out of this one also. So right along the bottom, along the right edge. Put that glue there. Line it up. Nice and straight. And we fix that upside down spot. And we still have a little pocket in here. We can put a tag or something in. Just make sure this folds up. Okay. This off a little bit right there. Okay, we needed to trim that just a little bit maybe. I think I got it to work. Okay. Now then, that one's there. Okay. Do have to have it trimmed just a little. Do that with my scissors. I should have trimmed just a tiny bit more, but it hasn't completely dried. So I am going to trim off just a smidgen more. You want to make sure it is laying correct and not hindering any part of the page that folds. So if you have to do that with your scissors, add your trimmer in so that works better. So I'm going to glue here and on the edge. So we'll fix that. It was kind of binding right there where it was folding. Make this nice and straight. Okay, that's fixed. Check this other one, make sure it's doing okay. Yeah. All right. So now we're ready for the next section. I think we'll be doing the add-on here for this. So we have the flap here. So next we're going to make this page here, and it's a fold. To create this piece here, like I did in this prototype book, I did it a little bit different, so I'm adding a hinge here for us to get it into the book. So we're going to make 2 of those. So I have cut 2 pieces that are 5 1/2 wide, 5 3/8 wide. Let me check. These are 5 3/8 wide by 5 1/2 tall. And we're going to score this. So let me grab this. So you got your 5 3/8 here at the top. You're going to score it 1/2 inch. And then we're going to score at 3. So you do both of them the same. You just reverse one from the other. So make sure you have a piece of paper that is non-directional. I mean, either side will work, but it's okay to be directional up and down. So let's grab this page and get this on in a way that will make it work. So here you have your page. You have your main page with your pocket here on the front. We have a pocket here. We have this first flap, which we've left blank for now. And then we have this add-on flap right here. So this is where we're going to need to add on our next piece right here. Okay, so we're going to take this, and I think to make it work correctly, I need to put it here so that it folds up over. So I have burnished this so that the hinge goes down and this goes back. So I'm going to put glue on this 1/2 inch hinge right here. And I'm going to line it up. I didn't want it over the fold, so I want it on this page flap here. So keep it out of the fold here, but burnish it down. And this is how you can add elements throughout your book. So this is going to fold like this. I'll show you here. So we don't have this piece on yet, so it folds over there. And now we're going to grab a couple of scraps that we can make into mats. Now then, I'm going to use my colors for sure first. So this mat, will be 3.5 by 3.5. I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of those in the brown. My colors, Cafe au Lait from Country Craft Creations. So I'm going to cut 2 of these, 3.5 by 3.5. This is our first mat. By 3.5. I'm just going to put the first one on for now until I see what scraps we have left that we need to use to make the second mat. So we don't have to do the second one just yet. That's going to be part of the decorating. So set that aside. So this is going to go on. You're going to glue it just on this half. So I'll position it so that I can see it. I'll put my fingers here. I know to put glue from here over. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure I center it right there best I can so that it's like this. It's not exactly centered evenly, but it's okay. So I'll bring it, straighten it up, and I want it like that. Burnish that down. So there's that first piece there that opens up like that if you want it to. And it just lays over here. So I'm going to go ahead and get it ready to put in the other side. So let's find, flip on over here to the back where this flap is right here. So it's this one that I corrected here, and it goes right here. So we have hinge. Make sure it's going to go the right direction. And that way it will open up into this one. So fold back so that you see the brick on the back side if you're using the same paper. Put your glue on your hinge. This is going to go down onto this flap here. Make sure it does not go over the fold. Let's burnish that in. Lined up. Okay, right there. It's going to open up that way, and now we need this here. My fingers right here, so this is where I want the glue on this side. Doesn't have to be centered perfectly or anything, just get it on there. It makes you happy. Open this back and burnish. And I'm using clips, so I don't have to have any magnets. You can certainly add magnets, but it's a little hard when your pattern paper is your page because you don't have anywhere to hide it. That's how that one goes. So that works this way, and again, it opens like this, and we will add another pattern mat here when we do our decorating. So we'll go back over here and see what's next here on this page. Okay, so this one has nothing, this one has nothing, this big one has nothing, but we're going to need another flap. So look at my papers, and I probably will have to add something to another sheet of paper to get that. So we need to get us where we need to be. We got this. We turn this back. We're going to leave this plain. This is plain. This is plain. And here's where we will add a flap and another pocket right here on this side. Next, we're going to add a flap with a combined pocket onto this page. So this one, if you go back to your one where you've got this little flip out, this page we're going to leave plain for now. This one plain, this one plain. So turn this over. This is the one we're going to work on. So you have this full 8-inch tall one with this smaller one in the middle here. Okay. So I've cut. We're only going to do this once in the book. We're going to do something different in the corresponding page for the back. So cut one that is 7-inch by 8, and I did have to cut out a new sheet. So I grabbed another full sheet, and this is the Manly 5. So we'll add that to the supply list. For this one, we're going to put this in our scoreboard at 7 inches. I want you to score at 1/2 inch, and then also score at 4 5/8. It's 1/8 above 1/2 inch right there. So this is going to fold in like this, and this one will have a hinge that folds back towards it also. Let's go ahead and burnish these. You know where they go. Now this is going to become a pocket on this page of the flap. So I want to do the envelope punch board. Since this is 8 inches, I'm going to punch at 1/2 point. I put it in at 4 and punch. So that gives me that notch. Okay. You can use a circle cutter, rounder, or whatever you want for that. So this is going to fit. First, let's make the pocket. So we're going to seal up the ends, the short ends. Line of glue right here, and a line of glue here. So just close this in towards itself. Like that. Burnish that. Make sure it sticks down. That makes a flat pocket like that without having to add a hinge. I'm going to take our book. Make sure I've got the right direction. This is going to attach right along the cut edge of the back side of this page right here. So glue on the hinge. Attach it right here along the cut edge. Open that up and burnish it. Then you have a pocket there, and that flap folds there. So that should match up like this. We'll do some other decorating on it like this and adding tags as we go. So you've got your flap, and when it opens up, you've got your pocket here. So this stays blank. And I think I will have extras in this one. We'll see. So this stays blank. It's a different size because I did something a little different. We have the short one here that stays blank. We'll have a mat that stays blank. We have this opening up here that stays that way. So I do have an extra one in here, and that's okay. So all these are going to stay blank. And then we're here at this point, right here, and we're back to the big one. So we're going to add a different kind of pocket here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that and then be back with you on that one. So for the back of this little page, where you've got your treatment here, on the back side, I've added this little pull out. Forgot to turn the camera on when I made it. So I'm going to show you just on some plain cardstock so that you know how to make that. So you're going to choose out of your scraps, your pattern paper, and this is the scrap that I use. It's 12 inches long by 3 1/4 tall. Now, if you wanted to make it out of cardstock, you certainly could. I'm going to put the 12 inch at the top. So again, this is 3 1/4 inches tall, and you're just going to score it at 4 and at 8. So that gives us 3 4-inch sections, okay? And so it's just going to simply be folded like that and like that. And that makes your little pull out. But then we need to attach it into the page. So you have a 3 1/4 inch piece, and I used, I'll show you, the same paper. So this is a hinge that I added on. So it matches up pretty good. So you take your 1 inch wide by 3 1/4 inches tall piece, and you score it 1/2 inch. So that's scoring it in half. And that makes your little hinge. Fold and burnish that. And I do apologize that I forgot to turn the camera on. Sometimes I get distracted. So we open this back up, and here on the left side, you're going to glue your hinge on so that the fold is going away from this piece. So just get the glue going. Set here for a while. There we go. And we're going to take this and line up the cut end up against that folded center of the hinge. Just like that. Of course, yours will be pattern paper. So now we have a hinge. Because we can't cut this 12 1/2 because we don't have any paper that's 12 1/2 long. So cut it 12, score it evenly. So we have 3 sections, and then we add this 1/2 inch. And then you would take your page, and if this wasn't on here, you would glue this to the page right along the cut line. Put the hinge, put glue on your back of your hinge, and glue it down here, and then of course it folds up. So mine is in pattern paper. Okay, so that's how you make that. So then we have the pocket here, and we're going to add a pocket to the center of this, and then we'll be ready to put this in the back. The last page of this page sets, we're going to add a little pocket. And so go to your scraps and find one approximately this size. It doesn't have to be exact. So this one is 3 1/2 by 3 1/4, between 3 1/8 and 3 1/4. It doesn't have to be exact. You should have some of these in there. Pick the one that you like, the pattern paper that you like. I'm going with this one, and I'm going to again take my envelope punch board, and on the top side, pay attention to your direction. And I said this was 3 1/2. So the halfway point's going to be 1 1/4. Let's see, 3 1/2. 1 1/2 is 3. So 1 3/4. Use my brain here. So put this at 1 3/4 and just punch. Okay, so there we have my little notch. And then this is going to glue down on this back side right here. Just kind of center it or towards the bottom. I think I put it down like this. So glue goes on the back side, on both sides. Come on, there we go. Oops, even more than I wanted. Across the bottom, which is opposite of the notch, and the other side. And then just place it where you want it, kind of center it. Place it down straight. Wipe off here excess glue. And so now we have a little flat pocket on the back. So all the flips and flaps have been added. Let's see this one, I'll bring it in. These fold out like this. We'll take a paper clip and just clip it, which catches this other one. And we're going to put this in our book. So let me move my scoreboard. So close to being done. Now then, see where your hinge folds up? You want to make sure you don't get into that fold. This is 2 inches, the spine area in here. So this one is 1 1/2 inches, 2 inches, 1 1/2 inches. That means we're going to have 1/2 inch extra, divide that by 2, so we want 1/4 inch on each side of the fold. So I can see that pretty good. And I'm going to line up my 1/4 mark right along that. I'm going to straighten it up like this, square it up so that everything is straight. This is going to fit in exactly from here to here. So we're going to have 1/4 inch at top, 1/4 inch at the bottom. So let me get this going again. It kind of moved on me. There. All right, now then we're going to put glue on this back side. Make sure that you can see me doing it. Put it in the center pretty good because this is going to hold all of this down. Okay, make sure we're doing it the right direction with all our pattern papers. And I'm going to hold this ruler really good with my fingers. I'll line this up top and bottom just like that. Okay, and I'll let it drop down so I can press it in here. Wipe off any excess glue. It's not going anywhere now. So let's burnish this down. So make sure that we're getting it wherever we can get in there to get into it. Put it to the center maybe. Yeah. Open it this way. Double check. There's been no glue oozing out. And this other way. Okay. So then when we fold this up, we are in line and our pages are in. So next we're going to add our closure. And I did tell you in this book I'm using 4 of the Graphic 45 Kraft regular size tags. And you remember that boo-boo one where I made, and I covered it so that the directional is correct? These are going to fit. You can put 1 in each one. And it fits perfect. Let's find the other one here. It's underneath here. Right in here. So this tag is going to go in here. I'm going to show you how to put the closure on, and the basic part of our tutorial will be finished. I think I will do a separate video tutorial, so there'll be 2 parts to this video, just on the decorating. So this part, if you just want to assemble it and get the basics done, you can do that, and then decorate on your own, or actually follow along with me. So, get my scoreboard, and we're going to take this, we're going to put the back side up, and I want to score it just where it's kind of hard, just where this curve starts, so that I can fold it like that. Okay, back side, and score right here. Kind of goes out around that one. Fold it, and that gives our closure really, really easy. So we have the front right here. And the things like belly bands and different things we're going to do will be in the decorating video. So there'll be other things added in based on your scraps. Yours may look a little different. So you're going to want to glue this centered so that it fits over that and leaves this part free. So I'm just going to take, and you want the finished part of your grommet facing out. glued here. Now you can decorate this tag if you want, or you can leave it plain. I haven't decided yet. On my prototype, I left it plain because I ran out of paper. So I'm just going to eyeball it. It's a little too high. Let's bring it down. So I've got glue to wipe off. Doesn't hurt. It does wipe off. And you can mark this if you wanted to. Make it a little straighter. There we go. Okay. I'm going to burnish that down. Add a little more glue under there. I don't know yet. Let's see. I think it's going to stick. So that's the front. Now you're going to want to line up here. That. So the glue on the back side. Remember, this is the finished side with the grommet. Don't pay attention to that. Get a lot of glue here. And there's so many ways you could be creative. On the front one, you could actually just leave it open, so you could put a tag if you wanted to on your front cover. Just kind of guessing right here. I'm going to bring it together and then slide it. Just up. And it looks pretty straight there. And wipe off any glue that may be extra hanging off. And burnish that down. So that's the back side. Now all we're ready, we can later on is add our ribbon that we want to tie through there. So that's the basic construction of this album. And thank you so much for watching. Remember, I will have part 2 as a decorating video, tutorial video. This has been a project design for Country Craft Creations. You can shop at their online store at countrycraftcreations.com. The manly collection from Authentique is there. You can get your chipboard, the tags, regular graphic 45 tags, seam binding ribbon, which I'll be using in this, and your art glitter glue and other supplies. Also remember, I will be using and decorating this Tim Holtz Junkdrawer Baseboard chipboard pieces. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So check back for the second video. Thanks so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please click on subscribe and then click on the bell so you'll receive a notification of when the next video is ready for this. Thanks. Bye-bye.